Call the special council meeting for Thursday, January 24th, 2019 to order. Please turn off your cell phones and make sure they're silenced. We'll observe a moment of silence. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Ms. Domingo, would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Reed. Here. Brown.
Here.
Lawler.
Here.
Spicer.
Here.
Williamson.
Here.
And Mayor Atchison.
Here. There's a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Okay, it's moved in second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? The agenda is approved. Public comments. Are there any public comments this evening? If there are, please step forward, state your name and address for the record. Please direct your comments to the council. Seeing no public comments, we'll go with that. May I have a motion to go into closed session, please?
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. We will adjourn and go into closed session.
No, it was just, they probably used to use it. Probably isn't working. Or probably, it doesn't work.
favorite city?
What's that?
Aren't we your favorite city?
Yeah. If it was number of phone calls and emails I got a day was the judge of that, then yeah. Yeah.
Hey, I left you alone today.
Sorry.
Yeah, go Brianna. Torres, Brianna Benedict. That girl, he came over to us and tell us, Mom, you can say I speak it and it comes to pass.
Call to order, we'll continue. Next item is approval of the regular session minutes for January 7th, 2019. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Seconded? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, the minutes are approved. Okay. Next item, request approval for personnel investigation. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Support.
Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Council, would you just make a statement?
Yeah, so I was
Thank
just
you.
gonna tell the council, so as the council's aware, I mean, we just conducted a closed session, the contents of which we cannot make public. However, my office and the Labor Council for the City of Albion, Kelly Toma, is requesting the council's approval to conduct a personnel investigation as it relates to the matters we discussed in closed session.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you. Can I suggest a roll call vote for this?
That's a very good point. Thank you. Mr. Meek, would you call the roll?
Oh, I thought it was two parts. Are we taking them separate? I'm sorry.
One motion covers both of them?
One more?
Covers all of it?
Correct.
Okay, all right.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
Spicer,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
and Mayor Atchison.
Yes. That's been approved. Next item is item B, request payment of bills. And I will turn it over to Mr. Mead.
What was that?
Yeah. Frank? Oh. Or you could do it. Okay, no.
Good evening, council.
Good evening.
Tom Mead, Finance Director. Before you, you'll see a couple bills that we thought we would try to slip in here tonight simply because with all the things going on, going back in time with the DPW department stuff, and there was issues with some of these that I'll bring to your attention, but we'd like to move kind of quickly on them because they have been, the one contractor's been kind of asking for, kind of politely reminding us that he would like to be paid. So, let's look at the first one first. So, the first one to this Franklin Holdra Company, and my apologies to the mayor too, and actually all the council. The mayor had suggested maybe some visuals on what happened out there at the dewatering or the grant, the project where they put in the new digester or clarifiers, I guess, if you will. And I know we had some visuals. I know the engineers were in here quite a long time ago and did some presentations, but I could not find them, and I'm not a real good drawer on that, so I don't have them. But the other issue is I was going to try to get some numbers together in a little bit simpler form. They're here, but they're a little bit cumbersome, but I think we can walk through them. So what happened, going back in time, we had this grant to cover 100% of a replacement of some clarifiers out of the wastewater treatment plant. Unfortunately, as they got into the project, and some of you will remember, because I know some of you were here at the time, with the groundwater being so high out there because of the river, and if you know that area, that when you drive out there, it's marshy, there's cattails and stuff in the area. The groundwater was so high that there was concern that as they emptied out these tanks to replace the clarifiers or, put in the new ones, that the groundwater would literally, like if you have a boat, it'd be a boat effect where they would actually could start floating out of the ground. So they brought in another contractor and of course some engineering studies to try to figure out how we might be able to resolve that. And they had to start doing dewatering. But again, because the groundwater was so high and being such a marshy area, they had a really hard time getting, they kept drilling more wells. And if you guys will remember, we came back, actually Director Jim Leonardson at the time came and asked for a $99,000 approval for an overrun on this dewatering. And hopefully you guys remember doing that. And I know it wasn't an easy pill to swallow, but this is a $950,000 project. So we thought, okay, if we got to pay $99,000 out of getting almost $1 million project, that's not too bad. We're still in pretty good shape. A little while later, we came back and had to go another $17,000 over. And when all was said and done, that still wasn't quite enough. So the bottom line is, we're at a point now, the project's all done, the new equipment's in. There was a long discussion over several months with the engineers, contractors, the city. Whose fault was it? Was it really some fault there? And I know our DPW director, Leonardson, at the time, talked with Cohen on a couple different instances on do we have some leverage to go back against the engineers? Unfortunately, the way the contract was written, it was, Attorney Cohen can correct me, or they'd written it in a way where they kind of had some protection on overages, and in addition, we get into lawsuits and stuff, and how far you pursue it to where your expense, you don't come out ahead. But the engineering firm did agree to lower their charges some. So when all was said and done, we ended up on this project that was originally we had a roughly $952,000 grant originally. They did it was kind of interesting how they took the engineering costs out, but they basically, they paid us for the $952,000, but they kind of reduced the project to make it appear as if it were like a $918,000 project. So we were able to collect that difference, what the engineer gave us up front, so that, I know this is just kind of confusing, but long story short, we collected $952,000. We still owed another $321,590. That was the overage. $155,000 was in engineering costs. $166,000 was overages primarily for the dewatering on the project. So now we're sitting here, and we'd already paid some of the overages, because again, going back, we'd already come to council, got some of that paid. So we're sitting here tonight with the final bill of $138,273. Of that, $50,000 is the retainage that was just withheld from all the draws throughout the process of, throughout the whole time period of the project. So the real overage that we're looking at tonight is really about $83,000. The 50 of this is money that, the project was part of the project. There was nothing to do with overage. It was just retainage we held back. So long story short, it really wasn't the contractor's fault. They did what was told. They did what was necessary to get the job done. It is done. The engineers wish we could have got them to eat a little more, but they did eat about $38,000 in the way the contract was written. And again, I know Attorney Harkness looking at it, we really didn't feel like we could fight for much more. So, we're asking to pay the contractor so he gets all his money, and it'd be the $138,273. Now, here's the good side of this. We had gone back to MEDC, explained the situation on this, and they were kind enough to find some money for us. We should get, and I say should because it is approved, but we're just submitting some final paperwork to get refunded for all the reimbursement, the whole 321,000 of overage. We should get all reimbursed from MEDC. So all said and done, it shouldn't cost us anything from, out of the city's pocket. However, we got to wait a little longer because we're working with MEDC on this paperwork. And in the meantime, the contractor who finished the job probably, I can't remember if it was last fall, late summer, they're getting pretty antsy. They would like their money. So that's what we're asking for on that one. Questions?
Yeah, one question. So I'm looking at the cover letter on this. So for the 138,000, it looks like about 10,000 is left in the remaining work. Is that correct? I mean, that's what it says, but is that correct?
Well, at the time, if you look at this, was dated back in November.
Okay.
It was, but now it's done.
Okay.
And if you, correct, at the time, there was a little bit of work left. I think it was like 78,000 was the dewatering, additional dewatering, and there was 9,000 for one item and 2,000 or something for another item to come up with it.
And the 50K in retainage is as the payments are going throughout the work, a portion of it is held back till the end, and that's,
Yep.
So it's work that was done, and now it's just making that payment. Okay.
Exactly. For every draw they had, every payment request, a portion was held back, and which is common, just to make sure that the work gets done. And that's held back from the contractor. So if the contractor failed to do their part, we've got some money held back if we have to hire another contractor to finish or or whatever. But again, this was not really the contractor's error at all. They did what they were asked and told. They got the job done. This was just an unfortunate thing that, in some opinions, mine for one, it'd been nice if the engineers would have took the, you got the river there and the cattails there. I mean, it'd have been nice if they'd have took that into consideration when they engineered this, thinking, gosh, there might be, high water table there, but they didn't, so. Other questions?
Councilmember Spicer.
Thank you. I won't pretend to understand much of this. I don't. But can you tell me, please, does this negatively affect the general fund budget, or are we good? I mean, I know you said there'll be some time before we get reimbursed. That little hole, that window there, are we good?
Well, two things to your question. Number one, the good news, this won't affect the general fund at all, and I should have mentioned
Because it's going to come out.
This is all out of the sewer fund.
Sewer fund, okay.
Yep. And the other issue is we have the unfortunate timing of our year end. So we have paid, the overages that we've already paid will affect, because that was cash out of the sewer funds, pockets in 2018, and we won't get the reimbursement until 2019, but it will replenish, it'll replenish the bank account basically. So if that answered your question.
Yes, thank you, Tom.
I know it's a confusing
Yeah.
thing, and I apologize that I didn't have this laid out a little bit better, but a lot going on the last few days.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you. I think you did an excellent job.
Well, thank you,
I
Greg.
kind of followed you, so that's a good thing.
That's good.
So thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Seeing no further questions? Is there a motion to approve payment? Fine.
Thank you. I did have a question. Are we taking these bills individually, or is Mr. Mee going to speak to the consumer?
Mr. Mee is going to speak to it, but as we saw, it's confusing, so I thought before we forget, or
And my apologies, I didn't notice even that they were on the same item, so if there aren't any questions on that one, I'll move on to the second.
well, I would prefer we just go ahead and vote on
Oh,
this.
okay.
And so there's been a motion to approve it, and it was, I need a second.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to approve payment to Franklin Holwerdic Company for $138,273. Mr. Mingo, would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
Spicer,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Reed, and Mayor Atchison.
Yes. Okay. So it's been approved.
Okay, so moving on to the second one, a payment to consumers for $96,127. This one, I think will be a lot easier to follow, and this one's actually some really good news, so maybe we can end on that. What we're doing with this one, and another reason, back up, that we want to try to move on this tonight, this was one that kind of got buried, if you will, in the DPW piles of paperwork that we're going through, trying to keep our heads above water in the vacancy of that position right now. But we noticed all of a sudden that we're like, whoa, boy, this had a due date of January 17th. And on January 17th, I noticed that and called, and it was late in the afternoon. I don't know if the individual was in on Friday or not. Of course, Monday was a holiday. Good news is he got a hold of me Tuesday and said, that's not a problem. Don't worry about the due date. He said it's a project that they're doing, so they don't treat them the same as their utility bills or whatever. This is a project. They put this together for us. He said, no, the quote's still good. It's not going to change if we don't hit the January 17th due date. But he said, but please let me know when you can pay it. We would like to move forward as soon as we can. So that's a reason for bringing it tonight. And I've been in conversation with him, trying to share him that, we will move along as quickly as we can in this. And it's a program that we're going to take. We've got an opportunity to replace a lot of the street lights around the city, and we can't do them all, unfortunately, but they are the higher wattage, the older ones that are drawing the most watts to obviously incur the most expense for us. And if you guys recall, I know we cover a lot of numbers in the budget, but if you recall the street light budget line item for 2018, I think we ended at $162,000 just for the street lights, and that's all out of the general fund. So if we can get that number down, any savings on that, you start talking 10, 20, 30% savings by getting more energy efficient bulbs for street lights. That's another position or two more positions possibly in general fund, or whatever. I mean, wherever the money is needed. But so we've got an opportunity here under a reimbursement program where we can replace. I don't remember the exact number of lights because again, it was a DPW director prior to me that was Jim Larson, the former DPW director, met with consumers and did all the work on. They went around and looked throughout the city on the higher wattage lights, and we can get these replaced under a reimbursement program, so it will cost consumers or cost us nothing. And we have already been, even though it's supposed to be reimbursement to where we pay it and then get reimbursed, it's worked out well that we've actually got the invoice out for the reimbursement. They're processing the check, so we're probably going to have the money about the time or sooner than this actually goes out the door here. So it's a win-win situation for the city. We're getting basically free updated lights around the city. So.
Councilmember Lawler.
Thank you, Mayor. Did I miss something as to how it was suggested that these specific streets get the lighting?
It was simply I don't recall where, I remember when DPW Director Leonardson was here, there was a big blueprint of all the lights, and of course we worked with consumers on the analysis, and there was a big blueprint of all the lights in the city and what style they were. And the objective, according to the consultants at Consumers, they said you want to try to find groups of the high wattage lights, because they said you don't want to get into a situation where, or if you can avoid it, these newer LED lights, if you guys probably noticed, they put out a little bit different color. They're a little more bluish, like on car lights and stuff. They're not the same color as the older style lights. And they said if you mix them too much, it can affect or bother drivers as they're going down the road if you got multiple color of the light. So they're looking more for areas that have groups of the high wattage inefficient lights. So rather than trying to do one here, one there, and that is simply how they come up with it. They just tried to find, like I say, the ones that were in groups so they could do them in chunks, I guess, if you will. And going forward, and again, this doesn't cover them all, so going forward, I would like to see us, try to continue working on getting them all done eventually. In fact, I was just talking to, I guess Homer was able to get in a program too where they got all theirs replaced. So, of course, they're a lot smaller city too. So, but so I think we keep our eyes and ears open. It's a possibility going forward. So,
Thank you.
So, doing it in groups so that you don't have the alternating colors in. I think you said part of the selection process internally, the city did that under Mr. Leonardson, was working with Consumer Energies to select those lights to be replaced that were high demand, so we'd have the greatest savings.
Yep, exactly. Get the biggest bang for the buck, basically.
Councilmember Spicer.
Thank you, Mayor. Tom, did they give any, or do you have any idea regarding a time frame for replacement?
When I talked to the individual earlier this afternoon, like I said, we worked with some consultants earlier at Consumers who did, I don't know, they have different departments, different steps. So we're at the step now where the engineer, it's passed on to their engineering department. And when I got a hold of them today, I was asking them the process. He says, no, he said, once I get this, once I get the payment, I believe he said, we have 30 days to get them installed. And I said, wow. I said, even in the weather, inclement weather, and wintertime, whatever. He goes, yep, we don't stop for, I'm sure if it's a blizzard or something, they'll stop. But he said, we do it year round, we replace them. So it sounded like it's something that would happen pretty quick.
So once they get the payment, they will get busy replacing the lights.
That's what they said. And again, we'll believe it when we see it, but he was talking this 30-day range, so it's just hard to believe, but we'll see. So,
thank you.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you. So just for the people in the audience and watching at home, could you quickly just let us know how many lights will be replaced and where those light replacements will take place?
I knew you were going to ask that. I'm sorry, I do not have the numbers. I can get you those. And we do have maps, I know. Oh, I don't think so.
Oh, I thought that was it.
No, I saw this as well, but I'm not sure what this is talking about, because when you read these quantities, they're one each, and I know that's not right, because I saw a list that was more. There's so many different styles of lights. I was surprised, the sodiums, the halogens, the mercuries, and they're, of course, all use different wattages. And I know there would be, the list I saw, I can't remember the numbers, but it'd be like, 25 halogens and 50 sodiums or something. It was larger numbers, so I'm not sure what this is exactly.
Thank you. I'm glad I asked that question because I thought this was it.
No,
is there any way we could get that maybe at the next meeting and then make that information available on the website?
Absolutely, yep. I would like to find that big blueprint if I can. It was pretty interesting to how they're kind of a hodgepodge all around the city. It's kind of interesting. So,
Thank you.
yep.
Okay, seeing no further questions or comments, we'll proceed to vote. If we can get a motion to approve the payment of $96,127 to Consumers Energy for the street light replacement project.
So moved.
Seconded?
Support?
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. All those no, this is money, so if you would please call the roll.
Councilmember Lawler,
Yes.
Spicer,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
and Mayor Etchison.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it. They were very good presentations on complicated stuff. Okay. The next item is a resolution, approval of resolution number 2019-03, authorization for change in standard lighting contract. If you would provide a brief explanation. I think I can figure it out, but
So this was submitted to us, Consumers Energy. I've reviewed the contract. There's nothing,
Attorney,
yes.
sorry, we need a motion.
Oh, yeah, please, sure.
okay. May I have a motion for approval of resolution 2019-03, a resolution for authorization for change in standard lighting contract?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Now, Attorney Harkness, if you would, please. Thank you.
So, what we have before you is, we have both the resolution and the documents associated with it. It is sent to us by Consumers Energy. I've reviewed them. It basically involves the high-intensity discharge lighting in the city, and they're going to be making changes to the lighting service as provided in the contract, and we need to provide them with authorization to do that. So that's all it is. It's just to allow Consumers Energy to make changes to the lighting. I can't make it any simpler than that.
Is there any discussion, questions, comments from council? Councilmember Brown.
Thank you. Is this tied to what we just approved with the consumers?
Yes,
Okay.
it is.
Wanted to
My
make-
apologies, I should have mentioned that. Because if you'll note, they have the same number, the 96,000 and change.
Thank you.
Okay. Would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Spicer,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
and Mayor Etchison.
Yes. So that is approved. Okay. Future agenda items, I would suggest that because we had to adjourn without taking action and there were many things left on the last regular meeting, that we would just move those to the following, which would be the 4th of February, along with, we anticipate, we'll also have on that agenda, if we still have candidates, to make a vote and hopefully select the seat precinct 1. So that would be the agenda items.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes,
Can I make
Mr.
a
Reed,
suggestion
Councilman.
about that, because there was lots of confusion on Tuesday night for many reasons, but when some of those agenda items popped up, there was no one attached to a presentation or to like who was doing what. So if we, before the next meeting, could we make sure we know who is giving, like I saw a water quality one on Tuesday night, and I don't know who was supposed to do the presentation on that. Can we just make sure we have people
Certainly.
lined up and ready to go for that? Thank you.
Okay. Next, we'll move to public comments. Persons addressing the city council shall limit their comments to no more than 3 minutes. Proper decorum is required. Please address your comments to council. Are there public comments? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move to mayor and council member comments. Council members wish to make comments this evening. Councilmember Lawler.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank the council for a productive meeting tonight.
Absolutely agree with that. Any further comments? Councilmember Brown.
Thank you. So we were trying to get a consensus of when to conduct the interviews for Precinct 1 candidates. And I don't know who's been able to tie a date and time down, but I'm wondering if we can just take a few minutes and see.
Yeah, go ahead, City. Domingo, please.
Thursday. Sounded like everyone, I got a hold of everyone but Shane. And everyone
Thursday
said
we're-
they could do Thursday.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I need to know what time.
6?
6 p.m. Oh, no, that's fine, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. 7 would be please. 7.
Okay, 7 p.m. for interviews, and the date is Thursday of next week, which the date is?
31st.
Okay,
31st.
first. Okay.
That's January 31st.
Yeah.
Yeah, 31st.
How many council members does it take?
I think it's.
Yeah.
Okay.
All of them.
I should know that.
We're better and stronger together.
Okay. Any, Councilman Long, do you have another? I'm sorry, no, your hand. Councilmember Reed, did you have any comments this evening? Any other comments? We're gonna wrap
No,
this up.
I was just talking about, when we were talking about Mrs. Riley, that was going to be at the phone next Wednesday night, the same time we have Mr. Smith.
I would suggest if there's no opposition or dissent from the rest of the council, that we would postpone and reschedule Attorney Smith. Councilmember Brown.
I'm gonna shoot this over to Attorney Harkness. We have a deadline.
Okay, so there's two things. So there's in the council rules, there's a deadline that the council will have its, what I'll call training by a certain date, which is quickly approaching. Now, I will say, I did have a conversation with Attorney Smith, and he did say, and he asked the question, would it make more sense to do my presentation after you have the Council 1 seat resolved and make sure we have the manager there for that? Would it make more sense? And I said, well, I have to check with the council first. So Councilwoman Brown's point is well taken. You have that in your council rules, so really I think the only way, I think the council's going to need to decide what would logistically make more sense. And then if you decide it's to proceed, then just proceed. If you decide it would make more sense to wait for that presentation, then you would need to suspend the council rules as it relates to that aspect and set, come up with a new date.
So, Councilmember Spicer.
Thank you. So, Attorney Harkness, what is the deadline date? Is it from?
You're going to ask.
Yeah, yeah.
Councilmember
Deadline?
Brown?
She worked on it.
It's February 1st.
Oh.
Which is Friday. Councilmember Lawler.
Can we have the people that are being interviewed attend?
It's an open meeting.
Oh, sure, that probably would be a good thing.
Yeah.
We can
In order
invite
to
them
try
to-
to meet the deadline?
Unless there's an objection.
Wait, why are we trying to postpone it again?
What? Yeah, because of the
I don't
bone thing. Is that what you mentioned?
Well,
I'm sorry. Let me raise my
Okay,
hand.
there's 3 things that I'm aware of. One is there's another event that a council member expressed interest in. 2, we don't have the precinct seat filled, and it would be nice to have the situation resolved with the city manager so that we're all together as a team. So that was why we were talking and discussing the option of postponing it until we were all one together unit. Okay.
So then we probably need to consider basically suspending that rule as it applies to the because I think if we're looking at changing the date, that is the only option available, is to
Right,
suspend that
that's-
part of the council rules.
Which is what the attorney recommended, or not recommended, but explained.
Okay.
Councilmember Brown.
So I think we're kind of like adding an agenda item that wasn't necessarily on the agenda here,
Okay.
but
All right.
I appreciate the conversation. What, I don't have a preference either way, but I will say that, we had it set, and Attorney Smith's purpose is to come down and provide counsel training. And I think it's important for us to have that as early as possible in this process. We have a fairly newly seated mayor and council members, so I think it's important for us to get that training. I know at the time that we scheduled this meeting, we had talked about inviting the candidates to attend because it is an open meeting. So I would just say, it's a council training. Attorney Smith is awesome. We had a date set, and I would hope that we would keep that date and move forward and come in here, allow him to come in and have a great open dialogue and training with us, those of us who are able and willing to attend. Thank you.
Okay.
Is he thinking,
Councilmember Reed.
is he thinking that we should wait until after, it doesn't matter.
Well, Attorney Smith, and this is not me talking, this is Attorney Smith talking. He said he thought it would make more sense to have your precinct 1 council person present when they were seated. He also thought it made more sense to have the manager present once that is resolved.
So how about we do this? Since it's not on the agenda to vote for it, if council would think that over, and if, let the city attorney and the city clerk know if there's anyone that cannot attend that training. And, but as it stands now, it's scheduled for the 30th. Okay, at what time?
6 o'clock.
Okay,
And you want that as a study session?
yes, please. Okay. All right. Any other council member comments?
So as
Councilmember Spicer?
Thank you. So as it stands, we are on for the training with Attorney Smith next Wednesday at 6.
That's correct. And if any council member has a particular objection or reason they can't attend, please let us know. And if we have to make a change, then we'll figure out how to do that.
Thank you.
Okay. Seeing no further comments from council, I'll make my comments pretty brief. I will absolutely echo what Councilmember Lawler said. This was a very productive meeting, collaborative, congenial, and cooperative, and I appreciate that. I appreciate members of the public showing up this evening. And with that, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Seconded.
Second.
Okay. Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Adjourned.